you
But there's
want me to
video.
interpret?
So
I'll
we
interpret
need
it.
an interpreter. Maybe we get a sign language.
There we go.
You know, all those things that I tell everybody to be careful when you say they can hear. I got Michael and they're remoting in trying to figure it out.
I can do a voiceover later.
And then what I'll do is I'll get the speech to Mr.
So nobody heard my squirrel joke, man? That's not good.
Thank God.
He did that on purpose. He did that. He killed the sound.
Yeah, I got a little button that says mute. I'll get, yeah, there's no volume. Good old Victor. I'm happy for him.
Yep. Jim, Rosemary's, her last meeting.
It's happening. People are aging out. We have at Hester School, we got about 3 more that are going to be going within a year. 4 at Snowden, 2 at the junior high. It's that cycle.
This is what I know so far for, we at least have a Kiwanian at each, what do you call it?
First is Tuesday.
Yep.
10 to 2 is the first spot.
Uh-huh.
And I got Rawl is out in the hospital right now.
Who's?
Rawls for my installation.
Oh, wow.
So, then I got back on San Francisco. So it's not one thing, it's another, but there's always something.
Yep. Not being very helpful.
Glenn is here in case there are any questions.
First trustee.
Oh, are you?
Rose, where do we?
Yeah, so here we go. But I,
It's like 15 points. Because it's business. No. We got about. It is. I think it's 15
given me
point third. Pending approval, which could be difficult to maintain. It's 15.7.
The third, 6 to 10. Okay, and
It's either that one or let's see, where is it?
oh
Approval.
yeah, I did put it down. Okay.
It's good to see you, Rosemary.
Tuesday's the first day.
I'm happy you're still hanging out with us.
Yep.
Can I assist her?
Yeah.
Well, I mean, we got to go out with the bang. It's got to be done right.
Yeah.
That's because I'm hoping to do the cumbia with you.
I'm doing the drawing on that.
That's right. But yeah,
It'll
no.
still be a happy dance.
I'll do that Wednesday morning.
Mr. Ochoa, I think we're going to get going. Maybe? Is it on?
Huh? Oh, yeah. Mic check.
Twin Engine runs pretty good.
Okay.
Good parking.
Let's still just
We ready?
do. I bang this again.
Just bring this back in at 7:08.
Okay, perfect.
Well, we thought you were dead the whole time. Just kidding, boss.
It's a miracle.
We're on?
7:09.
Ready? Okay, we are coming back in from our break at 7:09. 8.0, public comments. Members of the public may address the board on any agenda item or other item of interest within the subject matter jurisdiction of the board before or during the governing board's consideration of the item. The board is not able to discuss or take action on any item not appearing on the agenda. Pursuant to board policy, the board may limit individual comments to no more than 3 minutes and individual topics to 20 minutes. Please begin your comments by stating your name.
School Board Gomez and school board, rest of the school board, there are no public comments at this time.
Okay, thank you. 8.1, superintendent comments.
Yes. Well, good evening, everybody. We just had a fantastic opportunity to celebrate one of our most distinguished gentlemen that works with us, Mr. Victor Flores. And we do apologize that there was no sound previously. Good evening. As we wrap up another successful year, I want to take a moment to thank our incredible FUSD team. Thank you to the incredible teachers, our classified staff members, administrators for their dedication to providing high-quality instruction and meaningful learning experiences for Farmersville students and families. I also want to thank our supportive school board for their unwavering commitment to student success and consistently supporting the needs of all Farmersville families. Our continued focus is to meet students where they need us most. This includes working closely with staff to create best possible conditions for learning. To support this vision, we lean into some very important systems that drive results. The prime example was our PLCs, or our PLC tight, not light. Through our PLTs, site teams worked collaboratively to ensure that every student benefited from focused and meaningful instructional approaches. Another key focus this year was the area of minimizing the reading and literacy gap, especially at the K-3 elementary grades. This year, we worked really hard to move up through the K-3 ranks and had some support at the 4th, 5th, and 6th grade levels. This work is setting the foundation for lifelong learning and helping us ensure that every student reads, writes, and communicates with confidence as they matriculate through our K-12 system. We also put a strong focus on parent, student, and staff engagement events. Each site created spaces to have real conversations about the whole child, emphasizing the academic, the behavior, the social, emotional, and mental health of all of our students. Together, we're setting a foundation for a stronger, more connected, and more empowered Farmersville Unified. Again, we thank you for your partnership and your belief that Farmersville, we're preparing students to be productive members of society and innovative leaders for tomorrow. I want to remind everybody as we finalize this year that great things are happening in Farmersville and Farmersville Up.
Okay, thank you. 10.0, K through 8 issues. 10.1, approval to remove creative curriculum from district inventory.
Motion?
Second?
I have a motion by John Alvarez, second by Alice Lopez. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? 4-0. 10.2, approval of donation from Hester Chess Club parents for Falcon celebrations.
Motion?
Second?
I have a motion by Freddie Espinoza and a second by Alice Lopez. Are there any questions? All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? 4-0. 11.0, high school issues. 11.1, FHS student athlete sports contract. This is open for discussion.
I didn't read the 20-page student athlete parent handbook because I was afraid to go in there and go into a rabbit hole. So I didn't read it, to be honest. But from what I can see, the contract looks pretty well thought out. And I'm just hoping that in the contract, in the parent handbook, it also indicates what the responsibilities of the coach would be. That's my comments.
I think, myself, I think it has everything that we're asking for. I do have a problem with the fact that it says that the students, it's not a right to play, but if a student has a grades and everything out, they do have the right to play. Whether they make the team or not is something else, right? That's a whole other issue, but if the student has kept the grades up, attendance and all that, they have the right to play. So, the only problem I have with the wording is on that. I love the fact that both coaches, because we do have cheerleaders, volleyball players, whatever, at the same time. It's just an understanding with two coaches, knowing that a child is taking on two jobs at one time, supporting them in what they're doing, their endeavors, and supporting them. It's great to have sports. Maybe 1% of our kids are going to go on to major play, but you know what? It builds character, trust, teamwork. This is great. So I believe that this contract is very, very important for our children. So I thank you for this.
Definitely. I think everything we asked for, it's on here with the signatures. My only question is, who would present this to the student? Like, how would they know that this page exists and we hand it over to them?
Yeah, that's gonna come from our athletic director and our coaches when they do their presentations, because we're talking maybe 9 students at Farmersville High School that participate in same season sports. Multiple students do double sports, but same season sports is really the biggest issue, because we have to recognize that both coaches there's high expectations for all students, right? Same time, there's high expectations that they keep their grades and attendance, as Mr. Alvarez suggested. So when a student initiates, hey, I'm doing both sports, we're hoping that those students or those student athletes have already talked to their coaches. Because each coach is still gonna have their expectations, they're gonna meet at the table, and they're gonna decide to see if it's even feasible. And then here's the other piece, a coach is gonna be able to say, look, I have other people that are in front of you, you could potentially play 2 sports, but it doesn't necessarily mean that you're gonna start, okay? All of those things need to be at the table. Coaches should have that ability to put that on the table before they sign. Parents should know. I think if I heard correctly, the board just wants everyone at the table. Everyone has the exact same information, there's a decision, and we're trying to train our students, our 9th through 12th grade students, that there's responsibility and they have to have skin in the game as well. So to answer your question, I gave a lot of context. It's initiated by the student.
So I
Hey.
think, oh,
Oh,
sorry,
I
go
apologize.
ahead. Go ahead.
No, that was good.
Well, I was gonna say, I think this is, every athlete has to sign this, cause this is their contract, and then there's a special piece for the multi-sport,
Mhm.
right?
Correct.
Is that correct?
Yeah.
Gotcha.
Well, one thing though, CIF regulations state that the parent and the child are the only ones that can determine whether a child plays 2 sports. It's not the coach.
Correct.
The coach coaches the team. The coach may limit them to practice. The coach may put them on the back end of the burner. But it's the right of the parent and the student to pick those 2 sports. It's not the coach.
Correct.
So if they don't make the team, it is what it is.
Perfect.
But to be said that you cannot play 2 sports, that should not be heard anymore.
Yeah, we will make sure that our high school, and maybe even our junior high coaches understand that piece. To your point, Mr. Alvarez, and it's if they make right, they can try out for a
Yeah.
for a team. If they don't make it, then they don't make it. They initiated, they wanted to play 2 sports at one time, but they might not even make the 2 sports.
Exactly.
If they do make those 2 sports, is where they sit down and articulate the expectations from both sides.
And the coach is the one that allows them to play the 2 sports because they see the potential in that child.
Correct.
Otherwise, they're on the bench, they end up dropping one of the teams.
Mhm.
That's just the way it is. But to deny them the right, it's just like working 2 jobs. Going to school 8 hours a day, now you're working 2 part-time jobs. We're teaching them what the real world's all about. They get out there in the real world, they have 1 job, it's a career, all right, they can handle that, right? But to do this is like, a lot of us don't do 3 sports at one time, you know what I mean? Work, go to school, play 2 sports, but we're teaching them more than just sports. It's teamwork, there's a lot more here than just making the team, because to make the team is to be a upright citizen as well. So, there's a
I
lot
just
there.
had one more question. How and when would the student and parent know about the opportunity for the contract for 2 sports?
It's on page 16. When they get their original packet, every student gets their packet, and on the back of that packet is that very first page, which is the contract that all kids will sign, right? Okay, and then it states if you are a multi-sport student athlete, it's already on page 19 of the student athlete and parent handbook.
And it actually requires 2 signatures from both coaches.
Yeah. So what we did is I took that verbiage that we already had,
So it's on the first
and we
page?
basically created the secondary piece.
Yeah.
It's all the same information, just a little bit more clear, and then it has the ability for the acknowledgement of all parties that they're gonna go into agreement.
And I guarantee you, if the students know they can play two sports and they're not told they can't, the numbers are gonna double and triple. I guarantee you that.
Okay,
So anyway,
Perfect.
appreciate it.
that's good.
Thank you.
Thank you. Great discussion. Anybody else have anything? No? Okay. Okay, 12.0 curriculum. 12.1 approval of Save the Children sub-award agreement.
Motion.
Second.
I have a motion by Alice Lopez, second by John Alvarez. Are there any questions? All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? 4-0. 12.2, approval of Parent Institute for Quality Education, BK Memoranda of Understanding.
Motion.
Second.
I have a motion by Alice Lopez, a second by Freddie Espinoza. Are there any questions? All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? 4-0. 12.3, approval of 2026-2027 Local Control Accountability Plan, LCAP.
Motion.
Second.
I have a motion by John Alvarez, a second by Alice Lopez. Are there any questions? All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? 4-0. 12.4, 2026 through 2027 California School Accountability Dashboard, Local Performance Indicators. This is information only. 12.5, approval of 2026 through 2027 LCAP Federal Addendum.
Motion.
Yeah, Mr. Joe,
I think we have a
Are you gonna do a
presentation.
presentation?
yes.
Again?
Okay, let's go. He's gonna dim the lights and put the music on.
So this is for approval, correct?
This is
For action.
for action.
Yes.
Yes, okay. I'm gonna put my glasses on.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah. This-
Okay,
this-
so, do I have a motion?
I did, I motioned.
Second.
Okay, I have a motion by John Alvarez, a second by Alice Lopez. Are there any questions? All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? 4-0. Okay, 12.6, approval of 2026 through 2027 school plans for student achievement for Hester Elementary, Snowden Elementary, Freedom Elementary, Farmersville Junior High School, Farmersville High School, and DCA.
Motion.
Second.
I have a motion by John Alvarez and a second by Freddie Espinoza. Are there any questions? All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? 4-0. 12.7, approval of 2026 through 2027 consolidated application for funding.
Motion.
Second.
I have a motion by Alice Lopez and a second by Freddie Espinoza. Are there any questions? All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? 4-0. Okay. 12.8, emergent bilingual master plan presentation.
There you go.
That's a preemptive presentation there. Sorry, it's handling the tech piece at the same time. So let me connect here. Please give me a second. There we go. All right. Good evening. So what I have here is the Emergent Bilingual Roadmap, and you also have it as an action item, I believe, next. What this presentation is designed to do is to give you some background as to what is included in the plan. And so it shows that it's Emergent Bilingual Roadmap, but really it's also known as the EL Master Plan. And so what this is it's English language development services that are already provided to English learners within the district. This just formalizes everything, how students are identified, the services they received, and how they exit the program all in one plan. Okay, so I'm gonna step through here, try to synthesize that really thick part of your packet into a fairly quick presentation. So our district mission is to prepare students to be productive members of society and innovative leaders of tomorrow. And this does include for students who don't have English as their home language, to have them become proficient during their time with us within the district, regardless of when they arrive within our district. Could be TK, could be kinder, it could be another grade down the line. So whenever they are received, is that we begin the services for those who need them. So some of the things that we also want to ensure that students receive to accomplish this mission is language and cultures. See those as assets. We also want to provide a rigorous standards-based curriculum, which includes ELD standards as well as content standards. And I'll get into that a little bit more, how they're differentiated. Principle 3 is systems conditions for effectiveness, which includes leadership, not only on the part of the student, but also of the parents. Adequate resources, that includes curriculum, time, staffing, a lot of things that really create our program. And then Principle 4, which is alignment and articulation. So it's not just getting students to become proficient in the language, but also transfer into the classroom so that they have academic success, and they then have access to an A through G pathway, CTE pathway, college opportunities, everything that will make them successful to reach that mission. This is the process, and in the next several slides, I'm going to go into how students are identified, how they're placed in the program, what daily instruction looks like, as well as reclassification and what happens after reclassification. So to start, how are students identified for ELD, for English Language Development Services? Within 30 days of a student registering and enrolling in our district, they complete a home language survey. For most of our students, they enter our district at the kindergarten level, and so this is when they would complete the home language survey. If they are a transfer from out of state or out of the country, they would complete this when they enroll with us. And the home language survey consists of 4 questions. And so those 4 questions are essentially, and I can summarize them for you, is what language did the child learn when they first learned to talk? What language does the child most frequently speak at home? And which language do the parents most frequently use when speaking with their child, as well as which language do the adults use at home predominantly? So if any of those 4 questions have a response other than English, then the student would be initiated, and you're seeing on your right-hand side, the initial LPAC. So within 30 days, this LPAC assessment for language proficiency is provided to the student, it's scored, and then there are 2 outcomes. Either the student has a novice or intermediate score, which means then that they don't have a proficient a mastery of the language, and so they would begin receiving ELD services. Or the student does, and they are initially fluent, so they don't enter the program, but they are tagged as IFEP, so initially fluent English proficient means that they were tested, but they don't need the services. Okay. If a student just wrote English on all 4 questions, they would never be tested, and so they would never be considered for ELD services. And they would enter a mainstream program, or, which I'll share later, our dual language program. The learner profile matrix describes various levels that our students come in. So if there is a newcomer student, and what newcomer means is they are within 2 years, the first 2 years of newly being in our country. And so students usually who come from out of the country, unless it's an English-speaking country, English would be a second language or a third language for them. And so as they learn the English language, they likely are scoring a level 1, which is the minimally developed on the LPAC, and they need a lot of support just for basic communication. So out of the 4 domains of language, they're really working on listening and speaking. It's just being able to access information, being able to interact with others. That's the predominantly focus. As students progress within the first 5 years in the program, they're considered continuing EL, or they're expanding their language. And so they would normally receive a level 2 or level 3 on the LPAC, and that's the one test they take in the spring. Their support level is moderate. And here you might see, or might even hear and experience that students are able to talk. They're able to have a conversation, but it may not be an academic conversation. So they don't have those specific terminology, the words that you might use in science or social science. Some of those academic terms aren't included in that conversation. And so we're ramping up from a basic conversation to an academic conversation, as well as completing complex tasks with a higher demand of language. Students who are more long-term EL or still progressing within those first 6+ years of the program typically then score at a level 3 or 4, which is a well-developed. And so they need less support in all of the domains, but the domains they really focus on at that point are reading and writing. And once a student is reclassified, the support they really need on an ongoing basis is an academic support. Just as the content ramps up, so will the demands on language. There are 2 different types of ELD services provided to students, and the first one is integrated ELD, just the use of the name. It's integrated throughout all content areas. So this means that we teach the content and support the learning of the content with language supports, and those can look like collaborative discussions, the use of sentence frames, both verbally and written format, as well as sentence unpacking, really get to the ideas and the structure of the English language. Designated ELD is a focus on teaching the language, how English works. You use some content, but the focus is primarily learning the language. And so this is done through, at the elementary level, about 40 minutes a day, specifically for those students who who require ELD. They receive that minimum time of 40 minutes a day. In a secondary, it would be a full classroom. It would be one of their class periods. And in designated ELD, you're grouped with students around the same level as you. So instead of a heterogeneous, means like you have level 1 all the way to level 4, you tend to be within that same span. And here the emphasis again is teaching the actual language. The gradual release mountain, this is really, it parallels what we expect to happen in a non-ELD classroom, where it's a gradual release. That means that as the lesson progresses, the teacher will provide more of the responsibility for learning to students, because it starts with the teacher modeling, having some explicit instruction in whatever the student is learning, if it's language or if it's academics. The teacher will model, to provide resources, some background, being able to develop the skills and concepts within the class. With guided instruction, if you were to step into a classroom and see that piece, you see that the student and the teacher are working together. There's interaction on both sides. The teacher's providing some feedback based off of what information they received. They might go back and do some more teaching or more modeling. With a collaborative learning, you tend to see more of the students, the peer-to-peer interactions. They might be using some Kagan structures. They might be using A-B partners, but they're working together. So the release is happening, so the teacher is doing the bulk of the work at the beginning of the lesson, and then the students are picking up that work towards the end of the lesson. And so the independent work, which is the goal, is that the students are able to transfer that knowledge and those skills into an independent practice. So within the instructional toolkit, there are some specific instructional strategies that are used. Some I've already shared with the collaborative academic conversations. So it's not just getting students to talk, but it's students to talk about the content using academic vocabulary, using proper English and those structures, building off of each other's ideas, responding back and forth, and adding value to those conversations. You'll also have thinking maps. And so these are the graphic organizers. There's a variety of them. A double bubble would be one, a cause and effect be another. And also text-dependent questioning, meaning that if I ask a student a question and we're reading a novel or reading a passage, the student would have to be able to not only listen to the question, process and understand what's being asked, but then look for the evidence within the text. So these types of practices require the practice of more than one domain at one time. It's either listening, speaking, reading, or writing. So the more complex the task, the more demands of language that the students have to utilize more. So they're not just in isolation. There is an intersection of services. Sometimes a student who is on an IEP also requires ELD services. So it's not that a student receives one or the other, they receive both. In some cases, the student may qualify for an alternative summative LPAC. And what that means, this is a modified version of the LPAC. And so if a student does qualify, and it's very, very a small number for students who would take the alternative LPAC instead of the regular LPAC. A student can receive a 3 in order to begin the reclassification process. And so we'll get to that. So what does reclassification require? A student has to receive a 3 on the alternative LPAC or a 4 if they're taking the regular LPAC. If they don't have at least a 4, then it doesn't matter how they do in all of the other areas. That is the precursor, the one thing that has to happen first in order then to consider that student for the rest of the criteria, which includes the basic academic English skills. Depending on the grade level, it could be a STAR reading exam, it could be a writing sample, or for grades 3 through 8, and again in the 11th grade, it would be the CASP test. So if the student scores much like their peers, then they would check the box that they've met that criteria. The third criteria being teacher evaluation. The important part of that is that the student is transferring what they've learned in through the English language and transferring it into the academic setting. So the teacher would ensure that the student is transferring that knowledge and skill into the academic setting. And so the teacher evaluation is important, and the fourth criteria being the parent input. So we always have to have the parent input. Without sitting in front of the parent and communicating the progress of the student, you cannot reclassify a student. If a student, and when a student reclassifies, we still monitor them for 4 years. During that 4-year period, we're writing down specific data, how the student is progressing in their core content classes. And if a student struggles in any sort of way, they've already been reclassified, they don't go back into the ELD services, but they may qualify for additional academic services. And that could be through the SST process. It could be through an individual academic plan. At the secondary, it could be through credit recovery. And so there are multiple ways to support a student, but they can never re-enter the ELD program. Once exited, because they are proficient in their language, of the English language, they've already demonstrated that they've met it. So that now it would be an academic question. What sort of academic support do they need? So the golden rule is an ELD student is never denied access to any class simply because they're an English learner. So if a student, say a counselor is looking at a student list and they see that, oh, this is an English learner, we can't let them take that class. That is a conversation that cannot and will not happen. So what we want to make sure is that a Tier 1 core program, the student has access to all classes. A Tier 2, which would be a layer of support on top of that, targeted ELD support would be an example of it. They take the core and ELD services. And for students who may be struggling academically, they may also receive Tier 3 services, like at the elementary level, it would be reading intervention. So students can have core and ELD and a Tier 3 intervention. It's not or, it's an and. The families do factor into this. As I mentioned before, leadership is encouraged and expected, and so we want to have students of English learners, parents of English learners participate at the school site through ELAC and school site council, and then also at the district level through DLAC. So that's the District English Language Advisory Committee, and the LCAP. So these are advisory committees, and so it's super important to have the voice of those involved and receiving the services impacted by the services that we received, give us feedback and advice as to how to proceed in the future. So the last couple of slides here is that there is an accountability ecosystem. There are ways that we monitor whether things are effective. And so you see some of these on the LCAP, such as EL Progress. We monitor how students are progressing from one level to the next on the LCAP, as well as what percentage of students are reclassifying. There's the academic progress, so you see that. The scores on the CASP are disaggregated into student groups, including English learner and long-term English learner groups. And there's also separate metrics like the graduation and suspension rates. So there are ways that we monitor, are things working? If not, we need to adjust those supports. So from a student perspective, I've shared with you how a student enters, what types of services they receive throughout the day and specific classrooms, what their experience might look like through a lesson plan, how students are monitored once they are reclassified. And so all of these things work together, and the plan that you have in your packet describes it a little bit more in depth, but it's really to prepare students to be productive members of society and innovative leaders of tomorrow. So this ensures that our students have a support system in place to develop the proficiency of English so that they can do everything else. Are there any questions?
Good job.
It's almost like you know what you're doing. It's great. Good job.
Yeah, this is great. I was looking at the packet, and it says English learners 134 or 123, right? So I guess we are going down from 23 to 24, 178, right? Those are the years? 23 through 24, 24 through 25, 25 through 26, or
Yes, our English learner count is decreasing. Part of it is as our enrollment decreases, then that's if we have even the same rate or percentage of English learners out of a student population at the kinder level, that number also reduces. But we are also reclassifying more students. So when we reclassify them, we can no longer count them as English learners. So on two fronts, that number is dwindling. We hope to have it because they're being reclassified sooner, right? And so that's a great number then to show is that we have a high rate of reclassification, a high number of reclassified students.
okay. I know we're in Farmersville, so you know we're a Hispanic community. It shows here on our stats. Does I guess my question is, does that affect us a lot as a district as well? Because I guess for me, my question is always, it's not that we're struggling because they're not learning, it's just we're starting from a different place than other districts where it's like they already know English, they're already ready to rock and roll. Right here, we're like, okay, let's include these things to progress with our students. And so, correct me if I'm wrong, is that where our district is kind of, is that where we're at? Like, we have to build up our students where they're at versus other districts where they're ready to just, hey, these kids are running with English?
So let's think of it as a concurrent development. So they are still learning the content while they also learn the language. I do have a second presentation tonight, which is going to shed a little bit of light in there, is that from an assets perspective, having a knowledge and understanding and use of two languages is actually a benefit. And we tend to see a higher rate of performance for students who know two or more languages.
Nice.
And so our dual language program kind of shares that a little bit more than with this one. To your question about other districts compared to ours, we do have a higher rate or higher percentage of students who are English learners, which means that we do have to allocate some resources, time, personnel, and other resources. But that's a positive thing. Other districts do have English learners, maybe not at the same level as ours, but if we can really harness that assets approach of what they bring, both in terms of language and culture, we can rock and roll at a higher rate, at a better rate than the other districts. So it's an opportunity for us, really.
Awesome. Cool. I like that.
Thank you for presenting this. Always a great job. So you did mention the ELAC and the DLAC and committees, and those are members of our community, right?
Yes.
So I just want to strongly encourage us to encourage other parents and people to join these committees at school. It's very important, and I know I enjoy it when I'm a part of those committees. So, thank you.
Thank you.
Don't go too far.
No, I'm just going to sit down over here.
Okay. 12.9, approval of emergent bilingual EL master plan.
Motion. Second?
I have a motion by John Alvarez and a second by Alice Lopez. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? 4-0. 12.10, approval of Prop 28, annual report.
Motion.
Second.
I have a motion by Alice Lopez, a second by Freddie Espinoza. Are there any questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All opposed? 4-0. 12.11, dual language immersion program handbook presentation.
Much like the presentation I just had, this is really to solidify what our plans are for our district and anybody interacting or using those plans. So it does build capacity, builds a system for these supports and programs to be in place. So I want to delve into the next one, which is our dual language immersion program. So much like our mission before, preparing students to be productive members of society and innovative leaders of tomorrow in 2 languages, right? And it is differentiated from ELD. ELD is the student is immersed completely in an English language setting, and we're providing them the supports to accelerate the learning of the English language. With dual language, they're learning both English and Spanish simultaneously every year, and our program is from kindergarten through 6th grade. So some of the benefits we just talked about a little bit here, so I won't read them all. There is a cognitive benefit, and that's superior task switching and mental flexibility, because you have to have a command of 2 languages, and so not just the ideas behind it, but the structure of how to communicate. So it's huge. Educational, students are comparable or higher, have higher achievements than English-only peers. And we have, within our own district, our benchmark data typically shows that within a given grade level, our dual language students are outperforming students from other classes. And it's pretty consistent. It's not in all cases, but it's very consistent. From an economic standpoint, students with a command of 2 or more languages have more job opportunities in the public and private sectors. And from a socio-cultural perspective, there's a strengthened connection to heritage and culture. So again, an assets-based approach. The academic return on investment, the graph on the left is just an example, but if you have an English-only traditional model, you see growth from when a student enters a mainstream program, and it continues to go upward for the most part, and sometimes it levels off. But students in a 2-way dual language model, where they're learning both languages, tend to either catch up to their peers by about 3rd grade or exceed. When they do catch up, they tend to exceed. So if there is a gap, the gap flips. Because at that point, they're no longer learning the Spanish language, if they're an English only student, or vice versa. But now they have a growing command of both, and so they're able to maneuver and understand both the language and the content at an accelerated rate. We did have choices when we selected our dual language immersion program. And we went with this because there is the development of 2 languages. If there was an English learners only, then that would be only a K-3 program, meaning that you're only trying to get a student up to a level where they can then go into an immersion. So that part is very similar to ELD, but that's not what we wanted to do. We wanted to really explicitly develop both languages. And so only through the dual immersion program can we do that, and that is really a K through 6. So there is an error on the screen where it says K-8 long-term. It's a K through 6th grade program. So our program for dual language does end in the 6th grade, but students who still want to continue the development of that are able to take Spanish both at the junior high and high school level. We have what's called the 90-10 model. It means that at kindergarten, students are learning their content. 90% of that time is in Spanish, 10% is in English. And then every year, it changes by 10%. So in 1st grade, it's 80-20, then 70-30, and then we decided to make it a 50-50 starting in 3rd grade. So we don't have a 60-40. It's 50-50 in part because of the accountability system. So students are accessing all of their state level tests like the CASP only in English. And so being able to give them that leg up to perform that is positive. The other thing I want to say is that either a 90-10 model or a 50-50 model in kindergarten works, as long as we stick to it and follow the plan for it. I want to emphasize that we mirror the rigor across both languages. So it's not like we only provide an English language or a curriculum in English only. We actually have a comparable curriculum. So teachers who are teaching the dual language immersion classes have both sets, an English version and a Spanish version. So that is one of the criteria that we used for our textbook adoptions, to make sure that we have comparable sets. So we don't want anybody trying to translate it, come up with resources on their own, especially because you can't use Google Translate for this, right? There are other aspects, including the cultural aspect, that cannot be replicated through a translated service. There is a cognitive bridge between languages, means that there's a overlap. So some things are transferable both to the English and language content. That's a phonological awareness, so how sound, the smallest measures of language, which are those sounds. Concepts of print, so how that works between both languages. The cognates, so we know that as some of the words that sound both the same in English and Spanish. And then the high level of comprehension. You have to have a command of language to understand what you're reading. But there are some things only taught in English, and that's syntax, some false cognates, and the idiomatic expressions, so idioms. And then some things that are taught only in Spanish, like the morphology, formal and informal registers, right? Tú versus usted is one example of that, right? So those things are all explicitly taught in DLI. We have, and this program requires, a high level of expertise by our educators. And so they have to have a BCLAD, and we must follow the framework for biliteracy. So that is why we've been working up to this year with Dr. Medina, one of the foremost experts in the nation for dual language. We have a training ecosystem, so we provide professional development. Dr. Medina is not able to work with us this year, but we are going to work with California Bilingual Education, or CABE, which also is a very well-known institute. And so that system, that networking, all of that is a level of support for the dual language educators. So they have to have ongoing professional development specifically in this area. This is just, looks like the solar system, but it's really a set of assessments that students do take. And what I want to share from this only is that some of the assessments are the same. There's, in terms of, it measures what we need for students, whether they take in English, Spanish. So some assessments are provided in both English and Spanish. That would be our STAR assessment, our benchmarks, common formative assessments. Those that are taken only in English are the LPAC, and those that are only taken in Spanish are the California Spanish assessment. So we try to streamline it so that students are taking fewer assessments if that same measure can be used to make instructional decisions, whether it's given in English or Spanish. So we're trying to streamline that process, and we've made some adjustments, especially to the benchmarks this year and the outgoing years. So the question you either have in mind, or maybe it's been articulated, is how do you get started in the dual language immersion program? And for those following us online, it's important to ask, how do I get my child involved? So in kindergarten, there's open enrollment. That means there's no assessment. If you demonstrate an interest in participating in the DL program, all you have to do is submit your interest and you're in. If, though, that interest happens after kindergarten, then there is an assessment, because students are already learning that dual language, both English and Spanish, and as we saw there, a lot of parts that show how to use the language in both English and Spanish, that our program specialist sits down with the student and provides a comprehensive assessment. So there's a Spanish diagnostic test. The assessment, the results are reviewed by the program specialist, the principal, some cases the teachers and our parents, and then the final determination is made with the parents. So they have to make an informed decision, and that's why the assessment is shared. As we wrap up here, the Family Partnership Compact, we don't want students coming in and out of the program. It's very disruptive for a student who does want to continue if there's gaps in learning. So that's about a 5 to 7 year commitment. When they're in, they should complete it all the way through 6th grade. And so part of that is also having the support at home through high quality verbal interactions, the development and use of vocabulary, strong study habits, and from our parents engaging actively with the school committees like ELAC and DLAC. There is various levels of support in Tulare County, including universities, colleges, networks, and institutional partners. And then where I want to really end up is, so what's in it for the student, right? They're learning both English and Spanish, and those are great skills to have. But is there something else that they receive? And the answer is yes. There is a seal of biliteracy. And if you've seen diplomas, either at a high school level, college level, they often have a seal. And in this case, this is from the state of California. They send a student who has met all the criteria for the state seal of biliteracy, this golden sticker to affix onto the diploma. And what's really nice about that is when a student presents this to a potential employer, then that employer knows that the student has that proficiency in both languages. So it's not just taking somebody's word or even saying, let me give you an assessment to see if you have command of both languages. The seal attests to that. And so it's really nice, makes the student more hireable and more desirable in the professional setting. So I want to end with just a thank you to our school board for supporting the program, for allowing the allocation of the resources needed, and including everything you see up here, from the structures, the time, the staffing, professional development, curriculum. There's a lot that's involved in this. It's not just opening up a classroom and saying, okay, teach English and Spanish, good luck. There's a lot involved system-wide wise, and then in the classroom with the instructional decisions made every day. So I do want to thank you for that. So hopefully I built enough of a background, so when you take action later tonight on accepting or approving the plan, it is something we can continue to use with all our staff, as well as a communication tool to our parents. So it would be on the website, much like the EL master plan will be on our website, so we can communicate that to all partners. Any questions?
Yes, thank you. I'm very happy that the program is working out so well. And I just had, I know at one point we weren't advertising enough. So do you know if our enrollment has gone up in the dual program?
It stayed roughly the same, and that's actually a point of emphasis moving forward, not just with our DL program, and this is, I think, a district-wide shift that we need to make is, what are those programs that we really want to promote and highlight, right? So over the last several meetings, we've seen a lot of great things that are coming through our district, from our chess program, our music programs, dual language, sports. There's a lot of things that we need to start highlighting, put it in the forefront, and not just, I think, assume that everybody knows that it's there and that it's a really great thing. So yes, on our kindergarten registration, we're promoting that more within there, but I think we need to expand that and really put flyers, videos, and some other aspects to really tout the program.
Definitely, yes. On the pathways to enrollment, there's that side module for if they live outside FUSD.
Yeah, so students who are outside of FUSD, they would still need an inter-district transfer agreement, but they can still enroll in the program, provided there's space.
Okay. Would you, this is gonna, is it transferable to another school if the other school, if it's vice versa? Let's say they're coming from another school that does have the dual language and they're coming to us. Do they have to be totally assessed different? It's just a random question, but I'd like to know.
No, that's a great question. If they're already in a dual language program, then they've shown that they've already made, or they've already had the assessments, they've already had the instruction, so it would be a clean transfer.
So they want to continue with the commitment that they've made.
Correct.
Okay. I think that was all for me. Thank you very much. I really enjoyed the presentation.
Okay.
One question I had was, is there any additional fees for the children have to get and transfer in?
No, there are no fees for any student, whether they're from our community or transferring in to participate in the DLI program.
Just need the transfer approval.
Correct.
All right, cool, thanks.
Alrighty, so the first part's a joke. So I was thinking we could start doing our school board meetings like 90-10.
How well would you do?
If I only have to speak, I'd be okay. But reading, I'd probably struggle. But I was gonna say, so my question is, when they're doing their testing, like you said, third grade's really important. So say the student takes a test and he passes it or doesn't pass it, like in English or Spanish. I'm kind of I'm wondering where this situation would play, right? Where it's like, so you passed it in English, you don't need to pass it in Spanish, and it's kind of like, or are there certain tests where we're like, okay, these are specifically in English, but also I guess it comes back to that test doesn't ever come in Spanish, but I don't know if that makes sense. Like the mandatory things they need to be passing, so that way in our evaluations by the state, those type of tests, I guess, is what I'm referring to.
There are local and state assessments. So for a local assessment, I'll give the benchmark as an example. If it's something other than an ELA test, an English Language Arts, if it's math test, the language is not what's being tested, the content is. So it doesn't matter which language it's assessed in. So that's something, it could just be one language. If it's English Language Arts, there's a separate set of English Language Arts standards. Then there are Spanish Language Arts standards. So that is one where the student would have to take both or have both of them weaved into the same assessment. From a state perspective, everybody takes the English CASP, right? Or I should say the CASP in the English language. For dual language students, they also take the California Spanish assessment. And the purpose of that one is it doesn't affect our metrics and how essentially our district, our programs are graded, but it does give a counterpoint to our district to say, okay, if a student tested like this in English and maybe a student is still learning the English language, if they take it in their home language, Spanish, how do they compare? So that gives some more information like, oh, the student knows the content, but they're still working on the language, and so they really would be performing higher. We know that they're doing better than what they showed on the English version.
Okay. So, actually, one more. So, if I guess, because as a parent, say I enrolled my student into this, and I'm like, hey, I'm kind of scared because I don't know if my student's going to pass the Spanish part. Is he going to be affected moving forward if he doesn't pass the Spanish part of his testing? And would he still be okay moving forward in his grade level as long as he's proficient in the English side of things? Speaking from someone who probably knows English before they know the Spanish.
So if it's a local assessment, right, one created and determined by the district, there are different avenues to explore what are responses to that. So it could be that compared to all the peers in the classroom, they all took the same test, but the student didn't perform as well. We would still utilize the SST process to identify what supports the student needs. But if it's something that it's particular to a state assessment, well, state assessments don't count towards the student's grades. So that wouldn't be one of the criteria to determine if they need to, be accelerated, held back, or have any sort of intervention. But it is more of a metric for our district to say how our program's doing versus the individual student.
Nice.
Do we offer the AP Spanish test in high school?
Students can take the AP Spanish test whether there's a class or not.
Okay.
Mhm.
That's just my only question.
Yeah, and that's actually one of the things that's needed in order to receive the state seal of biliteracy.
Okay. Perfect. Okay. Everything good? Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Ochoa.
12.12, approval of dual language immersion program handbook.
Second.
I have a motion by John Alvarez, second by Alice Lopez. Are there any questions? All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? 4-0. 12.13, approval of grant award notification, 2025 through 2026, mental health daily attendance.
Motion.
Second?
I have a motion by Alice Lopez and a second by Freddie Espinoza. Are there any questions? All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? 4-0. 12.14, approval of ProCare renewal of contract for the 2026 through 2027 school year.
Second.
I have a motion by John Alvarez and a second by Alice Lopez. Are there any questions? All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? 4-0. 13.0, personnel. 13.1, approval of certificated personnel, item 13.1.1 through item 13.1.3.
Second.
Second from Alice Lopez?
I have a motion by John Alvarez and a second by Alice Lopez. Are there any questions? All in favor?
Does he really want to? No.
I know Mr. Jordan is here. Mr. Jordan, do you want to say a couple words?
All in favor?
Aye.
All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? 4-0.
Congratulations,
Congratulations.
Mr. Jordan, new athletic director, Farmersville Unified School District, Farmersville High School.
I mean this honestly, but you be careful what you wish for.
Yeah.
I want you to understand, and I mean this know my ideas will not like, and whether you like them or not, they might be the right ones, so I hope you'll trust in what I'm trying to do. But I couldn't do it without you guys, so I definitely need your support. There's a lot more, but I don't wanna take up, I don't wanna do another presentation like that.
I do want to say, I know, Mr. Jordan, I've worked under you as a coach. When I first started off here in Farmersville, I worked alongside you as an athletic director at the junior high level while you were the athletic director at the high school level. We're in a position where we do need to turn, go with the current and guaranteeing that we're supporting our students and families and re-engaging them into what you and I have already coined front porch, the first thing that people see when they come into a community. And Mr. Ochoa alluded to it too. It's the programs that need to be highlighted. Specifically our sports programs. We were once in a time and an era with the same students we currently have, and we were producing some amazing things. All students have ability. They have if they're guided and supported in the right way, have the ability to be very successful. And so we're excited. We're turning the page, and we're going to move forward.
I couldn't agree more, but like I said, I mean, it's about the kids, it's about the community, it's about the coaching staff, it's about the administrators, it's about the board. It's gotta take all of us. If any one piece of that doesn't work, it won't be as good as it could be. So I'm gonna be trying to work with everybody.
Well, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Yeah, Jordan.
Be careful what you wish for.
Well, he was afraid we'd rescind our vote,
For some reason, and all the right reasons, the people love you. So, thank you. They love you.
Have a good night, Mike.
Thank you.
I gotta go back to indoor soccer, so I gotta get ready to do it.
Okay. Okay, 13.2, approval of classified personnel, item 13.2.1 through item 13.2.10.
Motion.
Second.
I have a motion. I have a motion by Alice Lopez on 13.2 and a second by Freddie Espinoza. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? 4-0. 13.3, approval of extracurricular activity coaching personnel report, item 13.3.1.
Motion.
I have a motion by Alice Lopez and a second by John Alvarez. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? 4-0. 13.4, personnel action report. 13.5, approval of 2026 through 2027 declaration of need for fully qualified educators and annual statement of need for emergency 30-day substitute teaching permits.
Second.
I have a motion by John Alvarez, second by Alice Lopez. Are there any questions? All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? 4-0. 13.6, approval of revised job description for title change Administrative Assistant 3 to the Superintendent.
Second.
I have a motion by John Alvarez and a second by Freddie Espinoza. Are there any questions?
Yeah. What do we call this person?
Administrative Assistant 3 to the Superintendent.
That's the
Really?
full.
I'm gonna call and ask for the administrative assistant?
You're going to call for either the name or just the secretary or the executive secretary for the
Or
superintendent.
thing one and thing two and thing three, whatever.
Yeah, it's the idea of, we currently have an administrative assistant 2, and administrative assistant 3 being the top highest level in that category.
Just giving you a bad time, Mr. Mendez.
Okay,
We could-
wasn't
we
sure.
could- We could say, we want to speak to the AA3S,
Please.
so, but okay.
AA3, double A3? Oh. I got it.
All in favor?
It didn't mean to come out like that. Oh, yeah.
That was good.
Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? 4-0. 13.7 and 13.8 will go into closed session. 14.0, board business. 14.1, approval to move previously scheduled school board meeting on September 22nd, 2026 to September 29th, 2026.
Motion.
Second?
I have a motion by Alice Lopez, a second by Freddie Espinoza. Are there any questions? My only question is, so we will have, board meeting the 29th, and then the very next week, we're doing packet again?
I think there's a 2 weeks in between. Yeah.
The week after we packets? Okay,
Yeah, there'll be 2 weeks for us to receive information in between, so we'll receive it and get it ready. But yes, it'll be back to back.
okay. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? 4-0. 14.2, consideration of any item any member of the board wishes to have on a future agenda or provide a written update. Miss Alice?
Just need to make sure we get, if we're gonna have a, walkthrough before school starts, so we get the date soon, so we can plan accordingly. And if I can get the numbers of attendance for summer school, that can just be, memo.
We can send an email to the full school board regarding the summer school attendance. As far as a walkthrough, I do have 2 dates. It'd be potentially utilizing one of our school board meeting dates in July. I think it was presented by yourself for us to have the ability to go as a group to check out the facilities before students show up. We can either do 2 board meetings, 1 board meeting in the morning and then 1 board meeting in the afternoon or evening, or we can potentially move that one to the morning and have a school board meeting.
It's whatever the majority feels comfortable doing.
Okay.
Can you present
I'll
that?
present those options to the team by this Friday.
Yep, and is that something we vote on the next board meeting, or it's just?
Yeah, we'd have to vote to move it.
Okay.
If we plan to have it in the morning along with our walkthrough,
I'll
yes.
send it on a Friday update, all the information, the
And then
options.
we'll
and
let you know what we want to see on. Okay. Mr. Alvarez?
Yeah, just a construction update on how things are going with all the projects we have for the summertime.
Construction update from Mr. Melendez regarding all of our current projects. I know we just did close out. Tonight, the board will receive the certificate of completion recognized for our PK-TK project, which means that we can move along and do a ribbon cutting and get everything going to be able to promote the great things that are happening at that site and that program. As far as our cafeteria, we'll have a presentation. Please forgive me. Grandstanding right now.
Jim,
Yes.
that's moving along pretty good, I think. Anyway, that'd be great. Thanks.
Okay,
Nothing at this time.
okay. And nothing for me, you guys have some good topics, so thank you.
We do have 1 school board meeting next month. I'll make sure that Mr. Melendez and our team has a presentation of all the projects that are happening this summer and time of completions. We'll use one of them for the presentation.
Out of the 2 meetings, one of them will be.
Yeah, it'll probably be a morning one.
Okay, here we go. We're on to some fun business. 15.0, business services. 15.1, approval of agreement with American Fidelity Administrative Services LLC for Affordable Care Act compliance services.
Motion.
Second?
I have a motion by John Alvarez, a second by Alice Lopez. Are there any questions? All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? 4-0. 15.2, adoption of resolution number 17-6-23-26 for approval of education protection account spending plan 2026 through 2027.
Motion?
Second.
I have a motion by Alice Lopez, a second by Freddie Espinoza. Are there any questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All opposed? 4-0. 15.3, adoption of resolution number 26, authorizing county superintendent of schools to make year-end budget transfers.
Motion.
Second.
I have a motion by Alice Lopez, a second by John Alvarez. Are there any questions? All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? 4-0. 15.4, adoption of resolution number 19-6-23-26, authorizing interfund transfers in accordance with the budget.
Second.
I have a motion by John Alvarez, a second by Alice Lopez. Are there any questions? All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? 4-0. 15.5, adoption of resolution number 26-23-26, authorizing interfund loans for cash flow purposes.
Motion.
Second.
I got a motion by Alice Lopez, a second by Freddie Espinoza. Are there any questions? All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? 4-0. 15.6, adoption of 2026 through 2027 budget.
Motion.
Second.
I have a motion by Alice Lopez and a second by Freddie Espinoza. Are there any questions? All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? 4-0. 15.7, adoption of resolution 21-6-23-26, authorizing the issuance and sale of 2026 general obligation refunding bonds in an aggregate principal amount not to exceed $3,200,000 to refinance outstanding bonds of the district and approving related documents and actions.
Motion.
I have a motion by Alice Lopez and a second by John Alvarez. Are there any questions? All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? 4-0. 15.8, notice of completion, J.E. Hester Elementary School TK through K modular classroom project. 15.9, approval of agreement with Mangini Associates for new scoreboards at Farmersville High School.
Second.
I have a motion by John Alvarez, a second by Freddie Espinoza. Are there any questions? All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? 4-0. Okay. 17.0, future meeting dates. 17.1, July 14th, 2026, July 28th, 2026. 20.0, adjournment to closed session, 8:16 p.m. 20.1, conference with labor negotiator, GC 54957.6. It is the intention of the board to meet in closed session to review its position and to instruct its designated rep, agency designated representative, Manuel Mendez, name of organization, FTA, CSEA, management. 20.2, public employee, discipline, dismissal, release complaint, Government Code 54957. 20.3, conference with legal counsel, anticipated litigation, significant exposure to litigation pursuant to subdivision D2 and E of section 54956.9. And 20.4, Government Code section 54957, public employee performance evaluation, title superintendent. And then we will be going over also 13.7 and 8. Okay.
A quick reminder, we are live. And for those that are staying behind, we don't have the capability of shutting that off, so be very aware. Mr. Jonathan White, thank you so very much for coming in.
Thank you.
And offering the opportunity if there were any questions, so
Get your
thank you
goodies.
again.
Take some snacks home.
First time I saw you blush tonight.
First time, huh?
You blushed.
Which one? Was the, took me a second, but
I was telling you a joke, I said I never saw him blush before. My first time. All right, have a great night.
You too. Thank you.
drive carefully, thank you,
All
sir.
right, thank you. I
Please,
appreciate it.
please take some,
Yes,
some snacks.
please do.
You send me that flash.
I got mine here, but for later, I'll get some later.
you're done.
Oh, read fast.
We have hot mics, so we're ready to start.
You lost part of it?
Yeah.
Do you want mine?
Just the 13.7 when we,
13.7?
oh, I found it, okay, we're good. Thank you, okay, here we go. We are now coming back into open session at 9:55. We will resume with 13.7. 13.7, approval of memoranda of understanding between Farmersville Teachers Association, CTA, NEA, and Farmersville Unified School District, CTSO advisor stipend.
Motion.
Second.
I have a motion by Alice Lopez and a second by John Alvarez. Are there any questions? All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? 4-0. 13.8, approval of memorandum of understanding between Farmersville Teachers Association, CTA, NEA, and Farmersville Unified School District, guitar performance stipend.
Second.
I have a motion by John Alvarez and a second by Alice Lopez. Are there any questions? All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? 4-0. 21.0, action taken in closed session items. 21.1, conference with labor negotiator GC 54957.6. It is the intention of the board to meet in closed session to review its position and to instruct its designated rep, agency, designated representative, Manuel Mendez, name of organization, FTA, CSEA, management, no action taken. 21.2, public employee discipline, dismissal, release, complaint, government code 54957, no action taken. 21.3, conference with legal counsel, anticipated litigation, significant exposure to litigation pursuant to subdivision D, 2, and E of section 54956.9, no action taken. 21.4, government code, section 54957, public employee performance evaluation, title superintendent. This is continuance, so no action taken. Adjournment at,
Motion.
oh wait, yeah, motion. At 9:57.
Second.
I have a motion by Alice Lopez and a second by John Alvarez. Miss Rosemary, that was your last. All
Vote.
in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? 4-0. That was your last one ever, so we want to say,
We're adjourned.
We want to say thank you, Rosemary. I know
Thank
we're,
you.
people are still on right now. Thank you,
Thank
Rosemary
you.
Gadoon, for your years of service, for outstanding representation, and for making sure that we all are ready to go. So we thank you for everything, Rosemary.
We
It's a lot
re-
of ours.
and we made you stay till the, like, the very
Yeah,
We
we
squeezed
want to make it
every last
memorable.
drop.